Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. It's Kate here with this week's Spotfire session, and today I want to talk to you about how to deal with frustrating situations. We all come across these, and recently there was an article in the paper about some behaviour that had happened in the Adelaide City Council, where members are now going through some training about how to better speak to each other and manage those situations, because they get frustrated with each other about issues which they are very passionate about and which are really important, but they speak to each other at times in a really inappropriate way. And that's detrimental not only to the Adelaide City Council, but it's also detrimental to their brand. And they they live stream some of these discussions, and it's not a good look. So I wanted to talk to you today about dealing with frustration and how we can better manage situations when we don't agree with people. And the reality is that we're not going to agree with people a lot of the time. That's human nature. That's why conflict's so effective, because when we are in conflict with people, it usually means that we care deeply about the issue. If there's two parties or more, everybody cares very deeply about the issues they're wanting to put forward, their ideas, they think they're right. And when you think you're right and you're bedded to a way of resolving an issue, sometimes you hold on to that so firmly that you don't listen to anybody else and you don't behave in a manner that's necessarily appropriate or that's going to get you the result that you want. One of the things that I see on a fairly regular basis is people behaving quite aggressively or manipulatively to try and get their own way. And at the end of the day, this behaviour is completely and utterly counterintuitive, because the reality is that every single time we are aggressive towards somebody else, or we try and manipulate them into doing something we want them to do, and we use intimidation, fear, threats or whatever, or we humiliate the person by calling them stupid, or whatever we choose to do, whenever we behave in that fashion, the reaction will always be that the other person's defences will go up, that they will go into self-defence mode and they will protect themselves in some manner, shape or form. Now, some people are really skilled at this and they can listen quietly and respond effectively and give you feedback or deal with it. But the majority of people, when they feel threatened or humiliated or punished, or the person has been aggressive towards them, they will immediately go into self-defense mode, because their brain will be triggered. That part of the brain will go, this is dangerous. The brain will be triggered. They'll go into self-defense mode. They'll push back and they may copy your behaviours. So they may equally become aggressive, abusive, manipulative. Like, all of those things may happen because we've started this war basically between two individuals. And it's not effective. And sometimes you might get compliance. Sometimes somebody you might yell at them and they might do exactly what you've asked them to do. But it doesn't mean they agree with you. It just means that they may be feeling intimidated or scared. And the consequences of the behaviour is that they would rather do what they're told in this instance than have a fight with you, because they don't know what's coming next. So this often happens when we've got a boss and an employee. The boss might jump up and down and yell and scream or humiliate or do something inappropriate. The employee won't like that behaviour, doesn't respect that behaviour, but they'll still do what they're told, because that person's the boss, they have to do what they're told. But chances are that that person will start acting up against that behaviour, or they basically lose any sense of loyalty to the organisation. They might look to leave the organisation. The ramifications, if this is an ongoing, regular occurrence, is that it's going to have an impact on turnover, because people will leave. So it's completely counterintuitive to try and get people to do what you want them to do by using aggressive, bullying, manipulating, threatening, humiliating behaviour. So what should we do? How can we make this work? And the reality is it's not easy. It might sound like it's straightforward, but the reality is it's not necessarily easy. But what we need to do when we are in a situation where we feel frustrated and we don't think the person is listening, or they don't agree with us, and we would like them to agree with us. We would like to be able to work this problem out so that we are all on the same page. And I think the best way to do it is to ask lots of questions, because there's always a reason behind why people have their views and opinions and want to do things in the way they want to do it. They would have past experience, they would have beliefs and views about things in their world and what's right and what's wrong that may be different to yours. We've just been through a federal election, and there's a lot of people who are very unhappy and there's a lot of people who are very happy. And it's really easy to start a war on Facebook at the moment. It's very, very easy, but it doesn't really help us. And at the end of the day, I'd go so far as to say that a lot of those people who seem to be at war have a lot in common, but they haven't found what they have in common. They're looking at what they don't have in common and they're focusing on that. So what you need to do is to explore, and it's to ask lots of questions and to dig and to find out, why does this person hold these beliefs? Why is this so important to them? Have a better understanding about what's going on and see where you do have some agreement, because where you do have some agreement, then you might be able to start working out ways to get a resolution that's based on agreement, rather than one person getting my way or the highway, or being intimidated or humiliated into taking a certain position. So it's not working in the Adelaide City Council. You can spend a lot of time having arguments and being rude to each other, but it doesn't get you good outcomes. We can be passionate, but the more we can explore, the more we can ask questions, the more we can be respectful of other people and try and understand where they're coming from and why they're holding on to their positions, we've got a much greater chance then of finding out where we do agree and seeing whether or not we can explore that further and whether we can come to some resolution that's respectful to our different positions. It's never going to be easy. It takes work, it takes patience and time, and sometimes we don't have that time. And that's when we don't have a lot of time, that's when you need leaders to just make decisions and to lead. But most of the time, we actually do have time to explore important issues and decide those things. So as unhappy as some people are going to be with respect to the recent election, we have to also respect that there's a whole lot of reasons as to why that happened in the first place. And the same is going to happen in any boardroom, any workplace, anywhere where there are decisions being made that are really important to the people. Then there's a lot of work that needs to be done to understand where people are coming from, and to explore all of the issues so that potentially you can respectfully get on the same page or have some compromise reached that somehow respects the rights of all the individuals concerned. I hope that's helpful to you. I can tell you that banging heads with people is so unrewarding, disheartening, bad for people's mental health, and just not a good way to conduct a business or an organisation. People want to be valued, they want to be respected. My beliefs and values are just as important as somebody else's. So how can we share that and explore those topics without wanting to bang heads? If ever you need any help with that process, please let me know, because that's what I love to do. All right, have a good one. I've got to go now, but I will speak to you all soon. Cheers. Bye.